Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has responded to President Joe Biden's vaccine mandates for specifically federal employees by stating that there would be massive fines toward government agencies in the state of Florida if they happen to implement vaccine mandates of their own. Without further ado, let's go to DeSantis' statement.
If a government agency in the state of Florida forces a vaccine as a condition to employment, that violates Florida law, and you will face a $5,000 fine for every single violation. And so if you look at places here in Alachua County, like the city of Gainesville, I mean, that's millions and millions of dollars potentially in fines. Orange County, many, many more than that. At the end of the day, look, we did a lot in Florida to distribute access. And in December, when the Pfizer and all this stuff came out, I said we would work very hard. We'd prioritize our seniors, that we'd make it available for all, but mandatory for none. And that's been the policy that we've had from the beginning.
Now, let me be clear that Governor Ron DeSantis prioritized the vaccine not just for seniors, specifically wealthy communities that had most of his donors living in them. Those were the people who were prioritized for the vaccine in the very beginning. But I also want to note that federal law supersedes state law, we know that, and the Biden administration has not implemented a vaccine mandate for all government employees, including local or municipal government employees. He specifically implemented a vaccine mandate that impacts federal workers, right? So this story, for me, makes it abundantly clear that everything that governors like Ron DeSantis do in response to COVID is just political, right? Because this is his way of puffing up his chest like this tough guy who's responding to Biden, when in reality, the $5,000 fines that he's threatening local government agencies with, I mean, again, it has nothing to do with what Biden has implemented through his vaccine mandates. It has no impact on state and local government.
Okay, so basically this is just a glorified photo op.
Totally.
Because it doesn't affect what Biden said at all. It doesn't touch it. It doesn't involve 100-person companies. It doesn't involve the federal government. It's just state government. So he's just reiterating policy that he basically had in Florida anyway. But everybody goes along with it as if it's like a big deal. It's not a big deal, it's just a lie. And basically, given what Anna's told you and we've covered on the show before about how he gave it to his donors first, it's vaccines for the rich, propaganda for the rest of you. And what has been the result of that propaganda? Well, daily cases of coronavirus, I should say, deaths from coronavirus in Florida, 7-day average just now is 350 a day. So 350 people are dying every day in Florida and it's worse than it's ever been in Florida, even worse than the winter spike when the rest of the country had it, but we had no vaccine. But now Florida is so unvaccinated, and the unvaccinated are dying at such great rates that they're basically killing themselves on behalf of this insane propaganda by Republican leaders like DeSantis. And so, it reminds me of that scene from Star Wars. This is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause, right? In this case, this is how logic, facts, and science die, with thunderous applause, as everybody in that room is endangering themselves. Nina.
Yeah, and he doesn't, he just doesn't care. I mean, we really need to, in this, not just in this country, but in this world, get to herd immunity. And this guy, he's being totally irresponsible. Just totally irresponsible, because he doesn't care. Because this is not just about his propaganda in that room today, but also about 2024. Make no mistake about it. Governor DeSantis will probably, like 99%, put his name in the hat to run for president of the United States of America. So he's gonna show us, he's gonna show the great state of Florida just how much he cares about the people there by continuing to push, again, lunacy. This is the night for lunacy. These are the types of stories we're covering tonight. It makes no sense. Folks should listen to doctors. We understand that wearing a mask is helpful to helping to prevent the spread of the virus. We got the Delta variant. Other variants are popping, rearing their ugly head. And for a leader to continuously put out this type of falsehoods, to me, he needs to be held to account. Florida, this man needs to be held to account.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is Ron DeSantis isn't the only one. He tends to be the most outspoken or vociferous because of, I think, his political aspirations, as Nina pointed to. I think you're absolutely right about that. But it's incredible to see how many right-wing lawmakers have absolutely no problem watching their own constituents get sick, hospitalized, and even die from coronavirus if it means that putting propaganda against vaccines or mask mandates out there will help them politically, either in the present or in the future. And so they don't care. You're right, they absolutely don't care. And even though this was really a glorified photo op for DeSantis, there were other problematic elements to this press conference because there was a state government employee by the name of Darius Friend who stood up and told complete falsehoods about what the vaccine allegedly does. Let's take a quick look at that and then I'll debunk it.
The vaccine changes your RNA, so for me, that's a problem. So I'm here with you folks. We don't want to have the vaccine. It's about our freedom and liberty. It's not about the vaccine. They're taking away our freedom and liberty little by little. They're using the vaccine for cover. Last year, they took away our religious rights. They are not defending our freedom of speech. And this is just one way to take us to the next step.
So I'll get to the science regarding that false claim about the vaccine changing your RNA. But DeSantis was reached for comment and a spokesperson responded and said questions about why DeSantis didn't correct the speakers misses the point of the news conference. In fact, let me give you the rest of the statement. The governor has never said the vaccine changes your RNA, and nobody who has seen his 50+ public appearances promoting vaccination throughout Florida this year would think that is the governor's position. The speaker, whose remarks included that comment, was at the press conference in his capacity as a member of a lawsuit against the city government's extreme overreach. So the governor, meaning the leader of that state, is standing right there, right next to him. He needed to correct the record right then and there. He failed to do that. And again, there is no evidence indicating that the vaccine changes your DNA or your RNA. Unlike many vaccines which use a weakened or inactive germ to trigger an immune response, Pfizer's and Moderna's coronavirus vaccines do something different. They teach cells to make a protein or a piece of a protein to trigger the immune response. That immune response produces antibodies to protect against COVID-19. So here's the part that's incredibly relevant, okay? A person's genetic code is contained in DNA, which is enclosed by a cell's nucleus. Neither the vaccine nor the virus can penetrate that nucleus or change the DNA. RNA consists of messenger molecules created by DNA. And so because the vaccine can't change our DNA, it can't change our RNA, the mRNA vaccine delivers messages to the ribosome, which makes proteins to make the protein that triggers the immune system to produce immunity against the actual virus. And listen, so many Americans have already been fully vaccinated. They're fine, they're thriving, and they're very unlikely to end up in the hospital or very unlikely to end up dead from coronavirus. The fact that people are still peddling these conspiracy theories is incredibly frustrating, especially when you have the governor standing right next to him who fails to correct the record.
Well, I don't know, you say that, Anna, and all the world's scientists say that, but I took the vaccine and it changed my DMV. And you never know, you never know. So look, it's like, I can't believe we had to bother explaining that. That's so obvious. But it isn't to Republicans, and they look at that and go, science, what would they know? I talked to a rando on 4chan and he told me something else. That guy definitely knows better than all of the world's scientists and all the world's doctors and understands RNA better than all of them do. But Republicans actually believe things like this. That's why the important part of that is that DeSantis knew politically he couldn't correct that guy because then people would be super mad at him. Steve Bannon earlier was talking about how Larry Elder blew the election in California when he refused to lie for a minute. He changed his mind later and did lie and said that Trump had won the election. But for a second, he said Biden won fairly and squarely. And Bannon's like, that's it. Well, you just took all the air out of the balloon. No Republican wants to vote for someone who won't
tells
lie,
the truth,
right?
Yeah.
And so obviously Bannon didn't add the lie part. They're still pretending, etc. But guys, one last thing about that. 6 out of 10 Republican voters now say that saying that Trump won the 2020 election is a core part of being a Republican. A core part.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
So Nina, that's why if you're a Republican politician like DeSantis, it's will endanger your career if you actually say things that are true.
Good Lord. You know what I said earlier, never let the truth get in the way, never let science get in the way of a good story, because that's what's going on here. And even that guy that was speaking, I mean, he conflated so many things. So they're taking away our freedom and our liberty, our religious rights, and our freedom of speech while he was standing at a press conference exercising his free speech rights. The irony there. I mean, again, what is the responsibility? I mean, your point is, what is the responsibility of the governor of any state to not allow anybody to propagate, to peddle these kinds of lies and misinformation that can cost people their lives? I mean, this is not an exaggeration here, even as much as they don't want to admit it for political reasons, that we do need to get to herd immunity. We need people to wear masks. We need people to do things, because this is not just a going along for the government. All of us have skin, literally skin, in the game in trying to tame the coronavirus. We all have a responsibility to do so. So again, Florida, look, y'all can do a new thing. Y'all don't gotta stay with this guy, please, for the love of God. Progressives challenge him, and we cannot allow him to get to the White House by any. I mean, this is the pre-show right here, what we're seeing from DeSantis. Be afraid, be very afraid.
Yeah, and much like other states with Republican governors who are allegedly against the vaccine mandate, Florida, like these other states, already requires a variety of vaccines for children before they enter school, including for chickenpox if there's been no previous infection, measles, mumps, and rubella. And then you have a list of other ones, including tetanus and whooping cough and hepatitis B. So, I mean, look, we keep repeating this over and over again. Vaccine mandates are not new. We've had vaccine mandates state by state for a very long time. But unfortunately, coronavirus, which has killed upward of 650,000 Americans already, has turned into a culture war issue. And as our fellow Americans continue to die needless deaths as a result of this pandemic, Republican lawmakers continue exploiting it for political gain, and it's pretty disgusting. One
last quick thought here. Look, the Republicans did take a vaccine apparently against facts, because they're immune. You can tell them, hey, listen, schmucks, you and your kids all took those vaccines in Florida for rubella. We're talking about rubella. We're talking about rubella. You took it for rubella, you took it for all those things. This is the same exact thing, approved by the FDA, same exact thing. Nope, I don't care. I'm immune to facts. That's the one. Apparently they snuck in one other vaccine in Florida. And so they don't care about your stinking logic or science or medicine or facts. They just want, and even at the risk of dying, they care that much about their feelings. And the feeling is mainly, I don't like liberals, and I'm dying to own the libs. And that's where we are today. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.